Hello and welcome to the Heartfilia railway video. Today we're going to be using Woodland Scenics stuff, some scatters and obviously scenic cement, and we're going to be doing our embankment areas. We'll do a video on how we make up it to make it look like grass, and then in another video I'll be doing showing you how to do the trees on the embankments as well. So we're going to focus on the one embankment today, and that's one where the tunnel arch is. So we're going to go through to the next room where I've got all my Woodland Scenic scatters and all my equipment. I'm going to show how I did my scatter work over there. Here we are in the front of the living room. We've got our tunnel arch, what we're going to be focusing on today. We are in this big cardboard box that my other housemate uses for spray painting, just so we can contain all the scatter stuff. So let's have a look at the scatter stuff we've got. For Woodland Scenics, the first one we've got is Woodland Scenics Fine Turf, and this is the soil. This is the black soil that's going to be our base. We have the blended turf, earth blend here. If you can see that one, there we go. We've got fine turf green grass, there we go. Coarse turf burnt grass. And fine turf yellow grass, which is here as well. Other stuff that we've got for this is we've got the light green underbrush, which is just here, and clump foliage medium green to make little bushes and stuff. We have got our scenic cement here, spray on an adhesive, and we've got our scenic cement sprayer here as well. Also in addition is we've got Noble Craft Professional Crafters PVA glue. Find this stuff really good and easy to use. This is really good stuff. Comes with a nozzle so you can get it right precise, and we'll be doing that for some of the bushes later on. And then to attach trees down in a video on trees later, we do have this Gorilla Glue with the micro precise. Here we go. So let's crack on with it, shall we? Right, so the first thing you want to be doing is I have the PVA glue in a little pot here, and we're going to be mainly focusing on this area just below the tunnel for now. And you want to just literally get dabs of it and just literally layer it on. Just do it in a nice little bit of a thick layer. So I've got plenty of glue on there. You want to lay on, do little areas at a time. You don't want to be doing too much at a time, but make sure you get plenty on there. You can mix this with water if you want it lighter. I, however, prefer not to do this. So I'm going to be doing half of this for the demonstration. I'm going to do half of this for the demonstration for the video. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a speeded up section where I complete it all and you get to see how I do the entire thing. But for the demonstration, we're just going to do half of it with the PVA glue like this. It's just really simple, just like spread it on. It's like a bit of a base. You can see I'm using a brush just to get it everywhere you need it to be. Around the corners, all the way in the edges. Like I say, I'm doing half of this little section before we do our scattering, so it should be fun. So there we go, that'll seal any gaps in the plaster as well. Now while that's still wet, the first thing we want to be doing is getting the darkest colour we've got. We're going to build up from the dark to the light, and we're going to be using for our base the fine turf soil. Should be fun. Just checking that it is open, so you want to put it onto the little scatter. Now you notice that when you open the scatter of these, there's actually paper inside. So you need to take that out. It's inside, it's a bit like a milk carton. All you do is go in, grab the inside of it and pull it out. Grab the inside, easy said than done, and pull the thing out. And that just allows you to use the cap in either a pour session or a scatter session. Can't remember if you can see that very well. Screw it back on top of the scatter. And we want it on scatter, because we're doing the scattering. Literally we're just going to scatter over the top like so. Because there's no really way of doing it apart from playing around with it. There's also no single colour in nature, so doing it this way means it doesn't matter if you do heavy or light scattering patches. I like to try and get quite a bit for base down. There we go, and we should be alright. So we've got the main base down. That's good. Now that PVA glue will soak it up and it'll keep it there. I know you can still see white through it. That doesn't matter at the minute because we're going to be putting lots more layers on here. So what I would do next is I'll be using our scenic cement in our sprayer. It's very watery scenic cement anyway. If we just put some scenic cement in here, you don't want an awful lot of it. I've only used about 50ml there. I'm going to give it a quick, simple spray down over the top of that, just to add some cement to it. See if our sprayer works for a change. So the sprayer has different settings as well. You've got a light and a large setting. So if we do the large setting, there we go, that's what I need. Right, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using blended turf, which is this one. Obviously these have never been opened before, so you have to take the caps out. So bear with me just a second while I take the cap of the blended turf out. And we'll use the blended turf over the top of the soil. Do some blended turf there. If you wanted to move some of it around a little bit, you can play with it with a brush like this. Wonderful. And then obviously now next will be coming our fine turf, which is our green. Take the cap out because these are all brand new and they've been opened before. And we do our fine turf over the top of that. As you can see, I'm not using too much of the fine turf. Try and get a contrast of colours. Try to make it look like a woodland area. So after the fine turf, I would recommend using the coarse turf, which is this one here. It's a little bit rougher. And that's just to bring it a little bit of texture into it. So if we do a bit of coarse turf, actually I think what we need now, because we put a few layers on, is to do a bit of spraying with the scenic cement. Wonderful. And we'll do a bit of coarse turf now, just to make it up a little bit. So come out as easy as coarse turf as the other stuff because it's a little bit rougher. It looks like a bit more overgrown. There we go. So we've got quite a few different colours there. I'm not quite sure how well you can see that. It's actually looking pretty decent my end, but obviously on camera it's a bit different. If we then take a little bit of the yellow grass turf, which is this one, you can see that, sorry about that, that's yellow grass, and we use this very sparingly. See, I'm literally just tapping it. Looks a bit like sandy areas. So that's how you do that there. And then you want to give one final spray of scenic cement. And you've got a bit of base. Now, you can also use a little bit more of different colours. You don't have to use it in a particular order. Just how I build them up. So, for example, if I wanted to use a bit more green, just to green it out a little bit more. Like this. And you can do. Or a little bit more coarse. Which I think looks pretty alright in the end. So that's how I would do my covering on the embankment, and as you can see, the skeletal structure of the plaster has kind of been hidden by that. So I'm going to continue and do the rest of the actual part of the plaster here, and I'm going to try and speed up the video if I can, if that works, to a little bit of music, and you can see how I do the rest of this before we move on to doing some bushes. So let's crack on with the rest of the tunnel section, shall we? Right, so I've done the basic scatters, and as you can see, we do have a few little white bits here and here, a little bit here, just where the glue didn't quite take to the scattering. That's not a problem. There's several ways around that, what you can do. You can either put a bit more scenic cement in and just scatter over it, and it'll just cause it to disappear. However, I like to take a bit of a different approach of that. We're going to be using the clump and the underbrush foliage. So we've got the underbrush here in light green, and we've got the clump foliage here. And the reason why I've got these in the packets and not these scatter boxes is because you can use these to build little bushes. And this is going to be a wild area because it's above the tunnel. We're going to be putting some trees and that in. So to put a bush in, it's really, really simple, to be fair. all you do is you open up your wonderful bag of clump foliage. From here, you get your PVA glue, which is here. Just to get the top of the PVA glue off now. There we go. Right, so I've got our PVA glue, and you just glue some glue down on the model, just a little bit there like that, doesn't really matter, and all you do is you get this clump foliage and you just literally clump it together to make little bushes like this, which can easily cover some of those white areas. It gives it a bit more of a 3D texture as well. And then after you've done with your PVA glue, I have used all this scenic cement up, by the way. Bit of scenic cement over the top just for it to hold in place. Bit of scenic cement over the top. Hold that in place like that. If you did, what you can do is you can use a tiny little bit of yellow grass. You just literally tap that over the top. Like that. Oops, I just blown half the bush away there. Can give it a little bit of a colouring texture. If you can colour them up, you can do that like that as well. I did blow half a bush away there. Oops, a daisy. But the scenic cement will hold it in place. So what I'm going to do now is go through and just put a few more bushes on, and we'll see what happens, see how it looks in the end. Right, so I'll put some bushes on. You can see it's not 100% perfect, and that doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter anyway. I am going to be going through and doing some little touch-ups anyway, off camera. There's no point in you watching me touch up absolutely every little bit of white spot on here, but I'll do that anyway. This will go back onto the railway in a little bit, and then what I'm going to do next in the next video is I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to put in my trees onto this. And by putting some little model trees on, bring it all alive. You can leave it, I could leave it like this and make it look like it's just like a little natural field area. But if I wanted to add a few trees, add a little bit more height to the railway, So I'll be doing that in the next video. So for now, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure showing you how to do what I do here, especially with these scatters. I'm actually brand new to the scatters, so this little bit of the bush just fell down there. Oh well, doesn't really matter. And I'll see you in the next video. So in the meantime, take care, and I will see you next time, guys.